Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. My name is Rachel Costello, and I'm really excited to talk to you about our topic today, which is the 7 types of hunger. So there is a beautiful book by Jan Chosen-Bay called Mindful Eating that really goes into depth on each of these types of hunger. So I'll write that in the chat later. But for now, I want to just dive in. And the first one, which a lot of us will be aware of, is I hunger. And really what this is our strongest, most of our strongest sense is sight. And this can be, you're at a restaurant and you eat this huge, beautiful meal and you're so thankful and feeling so full. And then the dessert tray comes by and you suddenly have room for that dessert. You don't really, but your sight is really telling you that you do. This can also be a commercial kind of stimulating your appetite or those kind of things. And so really bringing awareness to which hunger cue is being kind of activated and asking yourself and being really mindful, like, oh, did I just get hungry because I saw that food, or there's still food in front of me on the table, or am I actually still needing a little bit more for my body? So a lot of this is going to come back to, you're going to hear me say it over and over, is really slowing down and becoming aware of your hunger cues and aware and just really tuning into when you are eating so that you are fulfilling those hungers. So if you sit down and are eating your meal, really just looking at it first, really just seeing it with your eyes is so helpful in really stimulating and feeding that eye hunger. And so this means, like, yes, do not watch TV, do not read anything, just really sit down and eat and see your food. So the next one is nose hunger, right? Our smell. And this is kind of the same thing. Like, we could get into a space where we are feeling, we're feeling like super full. And then we go out into the world and we smell mini donuts. And suddenly we're like, our cue for hunger is on, even though we really don't need to be eating at the time. So this comes back to also how to really feed your sense of smell and your nose hunger is when you are sitting down and mindfully eating, really just taking the time to smell what you're eating. And let me see, I have some notes here, so I want to make sure I get everything. Yes, okay, so the next one is our mouth, our taste. And this can be a few different things. This can be kind of like an oral fixation that we're used to different flavors or different textures. And so when we don't get those flavors or textures, we kind of like our mouth is still wanting that. Like if we grow up eating really spicy food, or we like this certain type of cuisine, sometimes we don't feel fully satisfied unless we are still consuming that kind of thing. So this can be fulfilled again by slowing down, being mindful of our meal time, and really tasting the flavors that are in front of us and the textures that are in our mouth at the time. And that will help fulfill that mouth hunger. And then the next one is stomach hunger. And this is like, many of us have had a gurgly stomach. Like, this is our cue that we are really, really actually hungry. But it can also be triggered by just routine. And so I'm going to give you an example. say you go out for brunch at 11 o'clock, but you eat just this amazing meal, but you usually eat at 12:30. So you've eaten this huge, beautiful meal at 11, and it's now 12:30, and your body's like, oh, we usually eat at this time. And then you're kind of like a little bit hungry, even though you're really not, because you're still full from this beautiful brunch. So it's just, again, bringing that awareness to, am I hungry? Maybe I can have some water. If you are hungry, by all means, fulfill your hunger. But just tuning in is really, really vital. And then and that takes practice. It takes practice, and something like a food journal or even a hunger journal can be really, really beneficial if you're starting on this path. And the next one is mind hunger. So this can stem from boredom. This can stem from what we read about food, right? Like, oh, I just read this fad diet that we need to eat X, Y, and Z. And so now all of a sudden, that's what I need. That's what I think I should be eating, or that's what I'm going to eat now, even though I might not be hungry, but I read about it, so I'm going to go have it, right? So that's not true hunger. That's just your mind. And so again, like I said, I'm going to come back to again and again and again, really focusing on tuning in and getting your awareness to that space where you can really listen to your intuition and what your body is wanting and needing at the time. And then the next one is heart hunger. And yes, this is emotional eating. This is emotional hunger. This is, we might be craving comfort food. And this usually stems from be wanting to be taken care of, or feeling like we want a treat, right? Like maybe from our childhood, we're used to like getting this type of food as a treat. And so as an adult, sometimes we can be like, oh, that kind of food was a treat for me, so now it's going to make me feel good, when really we're trying to fulfill a desire to be loved or looked after a lot of the time. And it's really important to be super gentle on yourself when you're starting this journey, and to really be mindful again. But we usually need to find, if we are experiencing your heart or emotional hunger, we really need to find and be aware of the comfort that we are seeking and the intimacy that we are craving. This could be, again, an emotional journey or journal. It's an emotional journey as well, but it can be, journaling can be really, really powerful. And just noticing the emotions that come up, maybe before you have the urge to have a certain food or that snack, and think about the hunger cue and what you're really desiring. So maybe you can call a friend, maybe you can take a bath, you can have some warm tea, you can process what's coming up for you, and being able to really feed yourself in that way. And there is, like I said, this beautiful book about mindful eating and how you can kind of go deeper there. So I'm going to write that in the chat, and as I really just pass it over to our seventh hunger, which is cellular hunger. And this is something that I have really dug into this last year, which has just blown my mind. But now that I've learned about it from Rita and from Carrie, it really makes a lot of sense. And it's really been able to, going down this journey has been able to really not only help me, but a lot of my friends and family really actually acknowledge where that hunger is coming from and being able to feed it on that cellular level. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm going to bring on Rita to talk about this particular one, which we're all so passionate about here. And thanks for listening. And here we go.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was amazing, Rachel. I really love just bringing more awareness, like you were talking about, to all of your senses. eating the food through the touch, through the taste, through the smell. I love that. And just bringing more awareness to our daily, consumption and our emotional well-being and all of that. That's so important. And I'm excited to share more on cellular absorption and cellular hunger. And so there's a few components of this that are really interesting. So one, our cells, we have trillions of cells, and all of our cells need to eat on a daily basis as well as eliminate on a daily basis. And these cells make up all of our organs, our tissues, our bones, our nervous system. So they are the foundation and the reflection of our health. And so cellular health is really, really important to me. And how healthy our cells are also equates to how much energy we feel, whether we're feeling pain or inflammation or not. And so there's two things that our cells really need to thrive. And one is oxygen. So deep breaths, lots of breathing. We're actually eating and taking in through our breath. So deep inhalations, deep exhalations, and that exhale, we're actually eliminating waste. So those are really important. That's the first aspect of cellular nourishment. And the second aspect is carbon. So our cells live off of carbon, and the easiest way for our cells to absorb this is through our simple sugars, through fresh fruits and veggies. And fruits, they're actually the easiest food for our body to absorb and utilize, because those simple sugars are absorbed through a process called cellular diffusion. And so when you get that oxygen and you get those simple sugars, it produces cellular ATP, or cellular energy. And cellular energy is how our body repairs and regenerates, eliminates wastes, eliminates damaged cells. So that cellular ATP is that foundation of regeneration, which is what we're so passionate about here, is regenerating our bodies. And so the other important component for cellular health is alkalinity. So if you were to imagine under a microscope and see your blood under a microscope, in an acidic environment, all those cells are clumped together, which means they're not getting proper oxygen intake or proper nutrient intake. And it also means they're not eliminating cellular wastes. So that leads to congestion, that leads to pain, inflammation, cellular starvation. And when our cells are starving, the cells start to weaken and get damaged. And then if you're in an alkaline environment, all of the cells actually start to disperse like a free-flowing river. They're getting nutrients in, they're getting wastes out, they're getting oxygen in, and this creates, cellular strength, gets rid of inflammation, allows your cells to absorb nutrition. So that's really profound. And the best way that you can really achieve that is lifestyle. So stress actually has an acidifying impact on the body, on our chemistry. And then, getting outside, getting in nature, laughing with friends actually has an alkalizing impact on our chemistry. And then the foods that we're eating, so adding in more fresh fruits and veggies and herbs, those are our alkaline forming foods because they're leaving alkaline minerals deposits in our body. So just adding more fresh fruits and veggie juices and herbs into your daily basis is going to start to get you into that alkaline environment, which supports that cellular absorption. And the third component I want to talk about is our gut microbiome health. So this is amazing and mind-blowing. And I love Dr. Zach Bush's works on this. So he does a lot of discussion around how our gut microbiome is only as healthy as our soil health is. And so our soils, like when you're gardening and all of this, the plants that are grown are really dependent on the health of the soil, which means how much biodiversity there is in the soil. So the more microorganisms there are, it creates this biodiversity, it creates this health, and those microorganisms break down the nutrients for the plants to absorb and for us to absorb. And those microorganisms also live in our gut microbiome. And the more diversity there is there, the healthier we are, the more absorption we have. We can clean up wastes, we can absorb. It impacts our neurotransmitters, so many things. And so restoring that gut microbiome diversity is really important, because that's where we're starting to absorb and break down food. So that's the other component. And what's really interesting is our gut microbiome communicates to the soil microbiome. And then our gut microbiome communicates to the mitochondria in our cells. And each cell has at least 200 mitochondria. And those mitochondria are what produce the cellular energy, the cellular ATP. So if our gut microbiome is depleted, we cannot have that proper cellular communication, which again leads to cellular depletion. So those are a few components about cellular health, cellular absorption, and how our cells really thrive. And so those three components really, again, are alkalinity, oxygen and carbon, and our gut microbiome support. So these are all really fun things that are achievable on a daily basis. And it gets back to connecting to our environment, connecting to food sources that are organic and regeneratively grown, connecting in with your farmers. All of these things are actually going to improve your gut microbiome health. And then adding in more alkaline foods are going to improve that cellular absorption. And so we just wanted to share this education today because we're so passionate about it, and it's helped us tremendously and immensely. There's so many people on here that I see who have been through a health transformation with us, who've had amazing results and an amazing journey. And so if you were invited on this call by a friend, it's because they really deeply care about you. And we're working as a collective, as a community, to share more education about regenerative health, as well as resources to help you transform your own health and your life. And we're working with different health programs that the foundation of them is that they're grown in nutrient-dense soils. We're really supporting organic and regenerative farmers. Everything is raw, sprouted, alkaline from farm to your door. And we're hosting these incredible programs that are helping with deep nourishment, repairing that gut microbiome diversity, getting the body alkaline, working with a group of so much support and education and knowledge. So if you do have any health goals and you just want to feel really good, have more energy, please connect in to the person that invited you, and they can send more information to you about all that we're up to. But we'd really love to support. And thank you all for being here. And Rachel, if you have any closing words that you want to share.
Thank you. No, that was beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Rita. And I think, I did want to share one more thing, and that is when we talk about that cellular hunger and how our soils, like you mentioned, are being depleted, that kind of has this effect of our food not being as nutritious as it once was. And so that's when a lot of times people are eating a meal that really satisfying, maybe was super healthy and really great. And then they are in the fridge 20 minutes later, kind of looking for like what they're missing. And that is what I have found here with working with what we do here really is working with nutrient dense, regenerative grown, which means it has all of those micronutrients that we are missing from a lot of our modern day food supply. And like Rita said, reach out to the person who brought you here, and we'd love to support you. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And you just inspired a thought. So what Rachel was talking about, I also was starting to feel depleted, even though I was eating all organic and doing all these things. And that's actually how I found these superfoods that are so replenishing. And we see this common theme where right now in our country specifically, we're dealing with a lot of obesity, and it's due to that cellular starvation because we're so hungry. We're just not getting what we truly need. And so that sends the communication from our gut to our cells, to our mitochondria, to our brain, eat more, eat more, eat more, because we're trying so hard to get the nutrients that we need. And it is because we're just not getting access due to that soil depletion, which leads to that nutrient depletion in our foods. So it's such an important topic and subject of awareness. And so if you want to learn more, if you want more education, if you want to help support and share resources in this way, we just really want to help to get this message out there, because it doesn't feel good to feel depleted, and I know we're also working with a lot of mothers who are dealing with postpartum, and so many people are going into pregnancy in a depleted way. So we want to avoid that as well and just provide solutions. So thank you so much for being here. And again, just connect in, and we'll connect you with resources and education. So thank you.